Beep.
Beep. I don't know.
It was a lead up for me.
I couldn't figure out what to do. So then my brain was just like, make a noise. So I made a noise.
Welcome back
Welcome back.
to the Lousy Show.
To the Lousy Show.
I drink a lot of liquid IVs. And this is not the flavor I thought it was. I picked it up for some reason thinking I had peach in here because I get the no sugar ones.
Yeah.
And I have two flavors. I have sherbet, which is really good, and peach, which is also really good. I thought I put a peach in here. And I tasted. I was like, that's not peach, it's sherbet. But I was like,
speaking of peach,
why do you hate me? Why would you do that to me?
you can buy it too.
I can. Those are the best peach rings on the planet.
These are the best fucking peach rings on the planet.
Yep.
No contest. Don't at us.
Oh yeah, none.
Not about.
I'll die on that hill. I'll fight.
Oh yeah, I will actually fight for that company. If they're ever like, hey, we want to take over the world, I would sign up.
Hey, Albanese, if you want to sponsor the show.
I like how we just got done talking about like dieting.
Literally right before we recorded. Yeah.
Yeah, like right before recording. Like,
yeah.
Yep. You can see my diet's not very serious, but
I mean, you gotta have a little sweet treat every once in a while.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because those aren't like, if you just eat like one or two of these, it's not bad. Because the serving size is 4 pieces, and I'll like just every now and then pop one in, just eat it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. No, I don't remember the last time I had candy. I'm really trying to remember the last time I had candy because even before dieting, I haven't had. I don't even remember the last time I actually I don't remember the last time I had any.
Yeah. I wasn't like planning on it, but we were walking through Target and just happened to be down that aisle, and I saw them and I was like, yep.
Mine, thank you.
Yep.
Oh, Lord have mercy. I'm tired.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah. It's been a day.
It's been a long day for you.
Yeah.
I thought my day was rigorous, but not anymore. All I did was mow the lawn.
That's fair. Now, I'm thankful we're in a season here where I don't have to worry about mowing the lawn. Like it hasn't grown at all, but that's because like we're finally in the fall. Like right now it is 53 degrees outside.
Yeah. I saw y'all were getting a cold front coming in here soon.
Yeah.
Like down in the freezings at night almost.
It's
like 32, I think was the coldest I saw. Not by much, of course, but
I'm gonna flashbang myself real quick. Bang. Let's see. Yeah, it's supposed to get down to 48 tonight.
Yeah.
Like I'll be turning the heat on for the first time in a long time.
Hoping I don't have to mow the lawn again, but I'll probably have to mow it at least one more time.
Oh, these temperatures are peak. I'm about to have my hoodies out. So it's Tuesday. It's supposed to get down to 34. But besides that, the lowest I see is 43. And so like for the next few days, it's gonna be anywhere from 65 to 75 degrees during the day, 43 to 53 degrees at night. That's peak.
Yep. That's gonna be all this next week. That's why I mowed the lawn today. The next whole week is gonna be pretty rainy, and I don't like mowing if it's wet, especially because I have an electric mower and it does fine enough, but like I don't want to put too much stress on it or run the battery down and I have to do it in multiple days or anything. So I
learned that during the summertime.
Yep.
Like especially if it's hot, like hot outside.
Yep. Oh, they drain fast. Yeah.
Oh.
That's why I was thinking, well, I'm not doing it in Texas. So granted, my yard's a lot smaller, but I can do my entire yard on half to 3/4 of a battery as far as the mow. And then I have a smaller battery that I use for the trimmer. And yeah, I can, it's a trimmer and a leaf blower, like has different attachments. And I can, just do the 2 batteries. I have 4. I haven't needed the other 2 in a bit. Whereas in Texas, it took me 4 to do the whole yard.
Yeah.
Both for mowing. Like mowing, it took me two full batteries, and then weed eating was one, and then there I would also edge because I lived like in a suburb with sidewalks and whatnot. So
Yeah.
there's a lot.
No, I would say it would take 2 batteries to do my yard and 1 battery to weed eat.
Yeah.
Like, because I have there's an Ace Hardware up the street from my house, and they had a sale going, and I bought a DeWalt weed eater, so it's not the same as my mower, so I don't take the same batteries. But if I have 1 DeWalt battery for the weed eater, I can typically like weed eat and edge up everything pretty well, and then 2 batteries to mow, and I'll be good. Which, I mean, that's fine with me. Like, I'll gladly go batteries. One thing I learned is, especially moving here, is the cultural differences between Austin and Kansas City. When my neighbors saw me break out an electric mower, they were like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Like, it's gas powered around here, brother. I'm like,
yeah.
Oh, I see y'all still getting with the times. Okay, cool. Like, that's,
I don't think anybody would say something like that here. I feel like it'd be more electric leaning than anything.
Yeah.
But my neighbor 2 houses down was also mowing his. He didn't say anything, but he was using a gas mower. And I remember just thinking to myself, because like he was struggling really hard. I think it's an older mower, and the carb's probably gross, and it needs to be cleaned.
Oh,
that thing just reeked of gas, like when it was mowing. And so it was like, it smelled super rich, and I'm just like, I'm so glad I don't fucking deal with that shit anymore. Like,
yeah.
For me, the batteries are worth it to not have to worry about carbs, to not have to buy like either premixed gas or mixed gas, oil. Like, it's way less maintenance, and so I'll gladly take the increase in cost for a couple of batteries, every decade.
Yeah. I hate to say this, Sam.
What's that?
Roll the new intro. Because everything we just said kind of ties into our topic today.
Shit, damn it.
With that being said, subscribe to the channel, like the video. We greatly appreciate everybody who's watching. The lousy listeners always turn out for us, and we appreciate it. Today's topic is something that I like. We use a lovely tool for like being able to make sure YouTube likes us. And it has this really cool thing of just ideas it spits out. And one caught my eye. A lot of them are very cheesy. Like, you could tell it's AI generated bullshit. But one caught my eye, and I said to him, and I was like, this would work out really well for the podcast. Because we've done Reddit advice before. Jesus Christ, that's loud as fuck.
Roll the old intro. Had to be loud for a second.
Oh my God. That was aggressive. RIP headphone users.
I'll turn it down in editing. Don't worry.
What was I fucking saying? Oh yeah. We've done Reddit advice before. We have done Reddit advice a few times.
Mm-hmm.
And we've kind of talked about like just advice in certain fashion. Like when we were talking when we were talking about buying our trucks, you fucking douchebag. We talked a little bit about financial advice, just like the key things that you should remember, like being educated before going to make a purchase, being able to stand your ground in negotiations and such.
Yeah.
But this one, I think, is really thought provoking for not just us, but the listeners and the viewers. Because this is specifically advice I would give to my younger self. Yeah. and I know that we've had like, I know there's been times where like you could be like in a questionnaire. It's like, what would something you'd say to your younger self? Or you'd be in an interview, right? Like, if you could tell your younger self one thing, what would it be? You know, like, but this I think is really thought provoking of like advice I would give my younger self, and like how that would look. And this could get really deep and, like I said, thought provoking. And as we're going through this, I actually implore the listeners to even put in the comments, like, if there's one piece of advice you would give to your younger self, what would it be? Just one.
Yeah. It'd be really interesting to see other people's one piece, like,
yeah. I think it'd be really cool to like compare and contrast to what we would say and do and how that would look overall. So
yeah.
with that being said, I mean, this may be a longer episode. This may be a shorter episode. We have no idea. We're only 10 minutes in, and let's find out. So, I have one in mind. Okay. I don't know where you're at on this, because I know this is a very fresh topic for both of us. But
yeah, I think I have one in mind. But you go first.
Okay. I think one piece of advice I would give myself, and I don't want to go down the path of saying like, oh, I would go back and change the path and just like, but if there's one thing I would tell my younger self is don't pass up on opportunities to explore.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, I know that sounds very generic, but I will add context. I've kind of talked about this on the show a few times, I guess, maybe a couple, but I know you and I have talked about how you and I used to play music together. For 7 years, I was in a band, and a pretty successful band, I would say. I mean, like, just in general. And I fully admit it was because of that, and solely because of that, that it stopped me from going and living my life abroad.
Yeah.
I was terrified, because I don't know if you even remember this. Once upon a time, it's like right after you moved to Texas, you actually mentioned to me, you were like, hey, I'm looking at apartments. Do you want to be my roommate? And I even said to you, I was like, I don't think now's the time for me to do that.
Yeah.
And I part of me wishes I had, because I think what I did was I was so locked into the music side of things that I didn't actually allow myself to actually see what life was like outside of the East Coast for so long.
Yeah.
Because I didn't move to Texas until I was 30.
Yeah.
So thinking of what that, 7 to 8 years prior would have looked like, or 6 to 7 years, I should say, prior would have looked like, anything could have happened.
Yeah.
And I think that's the one thing, like, while I did get to travel with the band, I recognize the setbacks that I had, because no band's perfect. Unfortunately, I hate to tell you all this. There's always internal struggles of some sort. And that was one thing I learned, was like, when you try and invest so much of yourself into something in hopes that you can achieve just, something as simple as traveling, not everyone else is on the same page. So it stopped me from being able to go and travel to places I want to go to, or experience the things I want to experience. And I would definitely go back and tell my younger self, like, hey, when the opportunity arises, do it. Like, the world has a lot more to offer than the East Coast of the United States.
Yeah. Because you were born and raised there and didn't really move, like that little area was your area, and you didn't really reach too far outside of that. Nope. But it can be scary. I mean, it's like fortunately my parents, I didn't have any choice, right? But that taught me a lot of things, moving all the different places that I moved. And moving can be a really a fresh start. You just have to be smart about it and not just go willy-nilly either, though. Like if your best friend calls you up and says, hey, you want to be my roommate? You can't just be like, yep, I'll be there tomorrow. Like, you gotta, like, now if you happen to have like, 50 grand just sitting there, not burning a hole in your pocket, then sure, fuck it, whatever. But realistically, I don't think that's gonna happen.
I would disagree. People. I would disagree on one thing. When you're younger, the financial stipulations, at least for us growing up, because today's day and age for younger generations is much different when it comes to finances. But I think for when we were growing up, and for that time for us, I don't think that's required. Like I think, like, especially in the time, if I went back and relived that moment where you go, hey, I'm looking for an apartment, do you want to be my roommate? I have a bit more freedom, because at that time I was single. I was living on my own. I was already paying my own bills. What's it for me to just go ahead and go, you know what? Close up my lease. I'm out. I'm on my way down.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot less stipulation. Now, the 30-year-old in us, the 30s in us would say, yeah, definitely be more financially stable. But at that time, financial stability isn't at the forefront. I think it's
No.
more so for me the aspect of living your life.
Yeah.
If you have the means to do it, by all means. But I don't think like if you have 50 grand saved up, like I know that's a very like aggressive number.
Yeah.
But like if you got a couple grand saved up, like fucking go.
Yeah. Well, you do have to think, typically breaking a lease is going to cost a pretty good chunk. And then
Sure.
the gas to get there. Are you bringing your stuff? Do you need to get a U-Haul? There are things to consider. So I think we just need to meet in the middle and be like, you can have some spontaneity. That's totally fine. But just be prepared for it.
I suppose.
If that makes any sense,
I'll agree to meet in the middle on that. But I would still say to my younger self, go experience your life. Like travel, like as terrifying as traveling is, or as terrifying as moving is.
Yeah.
The experiences you will get to have will far outweigh the scary thoughts that, impede your brain.
Yep.
Cause I admit I was terrified. Like even in the sense of like, I mean, hell, even in the sense of me moving down when I was 30, like you said, I was born and raised on the East Coast. Like like that chunk of area around like, the Delmarva area. That's where I was. Like that's, really hadn't lived anywhere outside of that.
Yeah.
And just the, moving literally halfway across the country, it definitely is an aspect of terror behind it. But once you get settled in, you're like, man, it's actually in bed. Like,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, a lot of great experiences and, just kind of learn more and get a better worldview overall. Because I think that's something that happens a lot is people, there's nothing wrong with being proud and loving where you're from, but people get kind of have blinders on for how the world actually works. Especially the people that lived where we lived. Honestly.
I mean, hell, I don't have to name names, nor will I. I'm not gonna put anybody on blast, but I mean, shit, when I moved away at 30, the amount of friends I lost.
Oh yeah.
Because they were like, why would you leave your hometown? It's your fucking hometown, dude. Like because there's
town. So fucked up.
Shout out to a day to remember.
Yep.
But like, no, it's like you look at it from that perspective. It's like, well, there's a lot more out there. I remember I had a thought. I'll say this real quick because I want to hear yours. The first time I flew to California for work, I legit had the thought as I'm flying over the fucking desert. And I look out the window and I could see, enough beneath me under the clouds. And I'm like, there really is a whole other world out there.
Yeah.
You gain such an appreciation for your life and the adventures you can go on just by simply taking a plane ride to a whole different state.
Yep.
Like, growing up on the East Coast, you get so used to how the East Coast works. You get used to Eastern Standard Time zones and like, oh my goodness, it's all green everywhere. And I can take Route 29 straight from one state, 4 states up. Like,
yep.
And, whatever. And the closest thing I'd ever seen to a big city was Washington, D.C. But when you fucking go to an entirely different state, in an entirely different time zone, and just appreciate the surroundings, you learn really quick, like there's a lot more to live in life.
Yeah. And then expand on that too. Now I can't really claim much of this anymore because I haven't done it as an adult, but now take the state and apply that to the country and then the rest of the world, right?
Yep.
There's so many different worldviews, so many different experiences, habitats, economies, ecosystems. It's so different everywhere. And that's super fucking cool. So that's something that I definitely want, and my wife and I have talked about, is definitely going to start exploring outside of the US a lot more. Because at this point I've seen not all of it, but a solid majority of it that I'm like, let's go a bit north or a bit south or way the fuck west, so. In fact, that'll be the first place we go since we're pretty fucking close. It's just like driving up to Dallas, basically, is when we head up to Canada.
Yeah, exactly.
Which that'll be cool. But yeah, it's crazy how much traveling, just even a little bit, affects your worldview. So
Yep.
yeah, I like that one. That's a good one. Mine, you are done, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Just want to make sure. Didn't want to cut them off.
I mean, I have others, but I want to hear yours.
Yeah. My first one I thought of, and it might sound cliche as fuck, but is to consider health a lot more. I, as a kid, ate nothing good, and honest, like, didn't brush my teeth the best, didn't do any of that stuff, and so now I'm paying the price for that. And it sounds boring as fuck, but you get, way better energy, just a lot less surprise bills like I just had with the fucking root canal that I had to do. And I don't have insurance at the moment, so that's super fucking fun. So just things like that. I was always like, people always say this, but it's not affecting me right now. And it never really I was fortunate to where it didn't like really fuck me up or anything. But it's to the point now where it's like, all right, let me, like, I if I could travel back in time and smack the fucking living shit out of 15-year-old me, drinking a 24 pack of Dr. Pepper in one ass day, then I'd like to.
My kidneys are hurting right now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, and soda's delicious. I still love Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper is the best fucking soda on the planet. Don't at me. But now I drink fucking seltzer water. And have actually really grown to like it a lot, actually. But I don't know if that's like a Stockholm syndrome thing, like to where I'm just liking it because it's like I'm forcing it to be my only option. But
probably,
yeah, still pretty good, not bad. But
I'm not gonna knock anybody for liking it. I just
yeah. It took some adjustment, but then also because like I don't eat as much candy, I still eat candy clearly, but like things taste different now, that I'm not just consuming sugar 24/7 or, ordering fucking Popeyes for dinner every day or some shit.
Yeah.
Like just overall taking health a lot more seriously. And it's not to the point where you have to, be like a fucking marathon running vegan or anything, but, like you just have more consideration of what goes into your body and how it affects you both in the short and long term, is my number one thing.
That is why I am so happy that I did go through the health stint or not the health stint, but health kick that I did.
Yeah.
In my mid-20s, because that set me up very well for me to understand, while I am a big dude, I know what I should and should not be putting in my body as I get into my 30s and early 30s and so on.
Yeah.
Like, because hell, Future Sam, remind me, I'll send you a picture of me back in the day when I was powerlifting. I was a yoked motherfucker. Yeah. And because I remember like actually it was after you moved to Texas, we hadn't seen each other in a couple years.
Yeah.
And I flew down to hang out with you for your birthday, I think it was.
Probably.
And when I did, you saw me for the first time after all of that, and you were like, you legit were like, holy shit, is that you? Like,
yeah.
And that time frame of my life really set me up in that same vein of like knowing what is and isn't good, what should and should not go in your body, that kind of thing. Like, even to this day, I may have, some bad snacks here and there or whatever, but like, I know like overindulging myself is definitely not the wave. If I need if I need a calorie cut, like if I need to go in a caloric deficit, I can do that. And I know how to do it healthily so I don't fuck my system up. Yeah. I understand what, blood sugar and blood pressure look like for myself and what certain things affect my body and how it affects my body and such. Like, I 1000% agree with you on that, because if I could tell myself to do it sooner, I would have.
Yeah.
Cause I was big.
Could you imagine if you never went through that? Like through the health stint, I should say. Like,
I'd be horrible.
it'd be fucking next star on my 600-pound life or some shit. Like
100%. No, not even, no jokes.
Yeah.
No jokes there. That would have been the case.
Yeah.
Because I was obese.
Junkie. Yeah, you
Yeah.
big boy. Yeah.
Yes.
For a bit.
And that would have been honestly, like, truth be told, especially with the rapid way that I was fucking up my body, I'll say.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have made it to my 30s. If I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Like, if I didn't go through that, I wouldn't be here right now. I know we always joked, like, I know we joked all the time, like, man, how the fuck did I make it in my 30s? But truth be told, like,
honestly,
if I hadn't done that, no, it would have been game over.
Yeah.
So
that would have been, yeah, that'd be crazy.
Yeah. But I mean, also at the same time, you know, like, you know, being able to tell your younger self that would be great, but it's good also that we're catching it in our 30s even more.
Yeah.
Because we're still at a good
later.
age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can make up for it now.
Yeah.
Not so much the teeth. Teeth kind of, you know, I can stop it here and maintain or just get veneers. Yeah. Dentures. Getting dentures.
Yeah. Oh no. Yep. Dog, I'm gumming that shit.
I'm gonna gum you up.
That's on the other website.
Yeah.
Anyways. Should we move on to the next one? Do you have anything else you want to say to that?
No, don't think so.
I do have one. It may go against the travel idea, but at the same time, I don't think it would, because if you do it smart, it would work together. I would tell my younger self to invest in the things you love.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that, and I know I'm not the only one who went through this, not to get all like deep here, but shit's about to get deep.
We've already gotten a little deep. You're just getting deeper.
Growing up, I did not have the greatest childhood. If there was something I enjoyed and my mother didn't like it, and not in the sense of like it was bad, but like if she didn't agree with it, it was deemed the fucking worst. Like, and she would go out of her way to try and make sure I never got that. Even so much, in fact, I remember like the show Dragon Ball Z. Everybody loves Dragon Ball Z. Great show. Hell, my oldest son loves watching Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, nice.
He knows it's a cartoon. He knows it's fake, right? He knows that energy beams aren't going to shoot out of his fucking hands.
Yeah.
But when I was younger, Dragon Ball Z was off the table. She because she didn't see it as something that like I should be watching. Okay, I get it from the parent perspective, but when you start collecting shit and you start doing shit that you want to do, especially in my high school days, and all I got was just mental flack. Hell, even as simple as me wanting to grow my hair out. I used to have an afro. Future Sam, remind me, I'll send the picture. I used to have an afro. I would get called a clown. I would get called a fucking what was it? Bozo. Like just carrot top, just things to make me try and like to break me to go cut my hair. But when it comes to things you enjoy, I would say, like, especially as long as it's not hurting you or anybody around you, enjoy what you enjoy.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, my collection of shit would be so much more massive if I had started doing it sooner. But I never got the chance to invest in the things I loved. It wasn't until I was actually like on my own, truly on my own, which wasn't until, because I had bounced around back and forth a lot. What would I say, like 25, 26? When I was officially on my own, like, just not bouncing around place to place to place, but actually like on my own where I could like invest into what I enjoyed.
Yeah.
It wasn't until then that I really started booming with my collection. Because I used to have this corner cabinet. I'm sure you remember.
Yep.
And this corner cabinet was no bigger than probably like from on the front end, it was probably no bigger than 2.5 foot wide. It would sit in the corner. Like it was an old antique, like vintage wooden corner cabinet.
Because I hated that thing.
Yes. It had solid wood doors on the bottom and glass doors on the top front. And that housed all of my collector stuff.
Yeah. You would also kind of confine your stuff to it. Like you wouldn't really let it expand beyond that too.
Correct.
you know.
But that's because of how I was wired as a teenager and as a kid of like, oh no, I shouldn't be spending money on that. No, 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 no. And then when I finally said, fuck it, I'm going to enjoy what I enjoy. Like, I love that. I mean, hell, I remember it was when we were in Texas and Anderson came to town and the three of us went exploring and just looking at comic shops and like fun shops and able to go like splurge a little bit of money on shit that we enjoyed. Anderson came here. We did the same thing. If I go anywhere, like when I was in California for work, I found a comic shop there. Like, it's just being able to go and find things that I enjoy now that I can spend money on. Not that I'm going to blow my entire fucking budget on it, but I can at least enjoy it to the degree of something that I know I'm willing to invest in. And I feel like, and this is a big PSA to parents, like, your kids are going to live their life. Let them live their life. It doesn't mean you have to stop parenting them.
Yeah.
But appreciate what they enjoy. Like, my son, there's some shows he watches where I'm like, I have no interest in this show whatsoever. But he likes it.
Yeah.
So if he's been good at school and shit, and he knows he has goals to earn things, you know, because I'm not just gonna fucking spoil my kids and make him a spoiled brat. But if he knows he's earning something and he's like, hey, Dad, can I get a toy like this? And it's for some show that he's been watching, fuck it, why not? Because I know he's going to enjoy it, and that's something he's going to remember. He's going to have fun with it, and sure, one day it might collect dust and be, you know, donated somewhere, but in the meantime, he's going to have fun with it. Yeah. And that's going to grow even more to him, allowing him to recognize, like, hey, I can invest in things I love without putting myself, you know, financially out of place. Let me do that. Yep. You know, I just think that that's so, like, it's a really big thing to me. Like,
yeah, 100%. I mean, it's investing in. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I just wish I could tell my younger self that.
Yeah. I mean, because it's not just, you know, like some fleeting thing. At the end of the day, you know, the more you are that you're like, you know, you're happy and you have the things that you want and you get to enjoy them, that's going to pay off in the long run. More than anything, even if it's a tangible thing that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, you know, like a fucking pop figure or Lego set. Like, yeah, it's just a bunch of fucking plastic, but that plastic has some sort of meaning behind it that the person that owns it enjoys. You know, like, I personally don't really get people collecting fucking like anime big titty figures, for example. Like, but I'm not going to knock somebody for doing it, you know, but it's so, it was always so weird to me growing up seeing that. Yeah. And having basically the opposite. And I always kind of felt bad, honestly. Yeah. So I'm glad you're able to enjoy it now. Well, you know, and now your office looks dope because of it.
Yeah, and I appreciate it. And I think, especially because you got a chance to see it with me growing up.
Yeah.
Because we had two very different childhoods. And I was, and I fully admit, I was always in awe of your childhood when I got to come over and hang out, because I was like, this is even a fucking option. Like, you know, and not in the sense of like, I was envious, but more of just like, wow, like this is dope. Like, but at the same time, like, I guess, you know, for me, when I finally got the chance, I don't want to say me having to go through fucking mental and physical trauma made it that much sweeter for me to be able to start collecting my shit. But when I finally got a chance to do it, I was like, I can appreciate this so much more now.
Oh yeah.
But it's not to any thanks to my mother.
No.
Like, it's because I finally recognized that the shit I went through doesn't have to be the way life works.
Yeah.
And again, this is, I mean, it's a big PSA. Like, I know I'm not the only person who went through this. And I've been very open about my childhood growing up, because if there's somebody out there who's been going through it, I can at least tell you, like, hey, it gets better. Like,
yeah,
you know, and this isn't that episode, but ties in a little bit of like, things do get better. You just you got to find your path to get to it. Once you do, fucking enjoy it. Like, I love that I have what I have in here. Somebody could walk in here and be like you said, oh, just fucking pieces of fucking plastic, and why do you have so many fucking hats? And God, your pop figure collection's massive. Actually, perfect example. Not the negative, but shout out to one of our lovely friends, one of my brother. Bad dad jokes, avid viewer as well. When he came over and I finally had my office set up, he had always seen my pop figures in the background. And he was just like, damn, that's a lot of pop figures. Comes over here and he's like, damn, that's a lot more pop figures than I thought. That
was not all of them.
Yeah. And he legit tell you, he was like, I don't understand why you have so many. He goes, but I get it.
Yeah.
You don't have to fucking understand, but as long as you get it, you know, like, it may not be your niche. Like, he's a big car guy. Not me. But I understand it. Like, I get it because it's something that he loves.
Yeah.
And I think it just boils down to just, you know, if I could tell my younger self, just even if people fight against you on it, invest into what you love.
Yeah. I think that ties in perfectly with my last one. And that's just to not care as much about what other people think about what it is that you're doing. Not to say that I was like super into like societal cliquey bullshit, because like hell, we were, you know, metalheads and so, you know, we kind of went against the grain a little bit, but there was still, even within that, some people pleasing, right? And you know, like, fortunately, didn't, like, you know, I wouldn't say that it like fucked me up or anything, but you know, it's shit that I cared about that I didn't actually care about. Did it finally blow?
No, we're good.
No, okay. The hat's been barely hanging on, if you can't tell. But yeah, it's like what you said earlier. It's the best way to say it. As long as it's not hurting anybody, enjoy what you enjoy. And it's just, that's it. Like, you know, I can't really equate it to, you know, like a collection or anything, any one particular thing, but it was just, there was a lot of times where I was seeking validation from the people around me. And you know, if they started to go in one direction, that's typically where I started to go as well. So,
it's funny you say that.
Yep.
High school.
That's always where it happens. High school. Yep.
I was your shadow.
Yeah.
I remember the day. It was a gut punch to that same thought. I was always trying my hardest because we had a core group of friends, right? Yeah. And you and I have been best friends again for 2 fucking decades. In high school, there were other people who would associate, and it almost like was this hierarchical chain of like who was where.
Yeah.
Right. And I remember this specifically. I remember there was a girl I liked in high school, and I tried to talk to her. And she said, and I quote, "Oh yeah." She didn't remember my name. She said, "Oh yeah, you're Sam's friend." And I went, "Oh." Because I had tried so hard to live in that validation.
Yeah.
That I had lost a lot of what was me.
Mm-hmm.
I tried so hard to fit into that cliquey mindset, even though we were metalheads, even though we were like, yeah, fuck what anybody thinks. 100% still in that
happens.
group.
Yeah.
1000% still happens.
Yep.
And it's so important to have your own personality and your own identity and your own just name growing up, because you, like, a lot of people even our age still don't fucking know theirs.
Yeah.
A lot of people still trying to fit into this fucking grain where it's like, no, you don't have to. Just be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
To this day, I know you and I talked about this before. One of my biggest gripes is like, I am one of the most straightforward individuals. If something's wrong, I'm going to ask you. If there's something we need to talk about, I'll bring it to your attention.
Yeah.
Like, I am, you know, if there's something to celebrate, I'll celebrate it with you. I am one of the most direct individuals. People to this day still think that somehow I'm not.
Yeah. Well, everybody always assumes an ulterior motive, right, behind even those questions. So, everything all right?
I'm gonna be honest with you. Sucks that this happened in the middle of such a great conversation, but I think I lost you for a second there, pal.
Oh, well, can you hear me now?
Yes, I hear you now. You froze, and I went. You watch the camera angle. I go.
Oh, I saw. Yeah, I could see everything that you were doing.
Okay, yeah, no, you just went. You were like, and just stopped.
Damn.
So what were you saying?
Shit. What was I saying?
Preconceived notions.
Oh yeah. So like even in those responses, people will think that you have like an ulterior motive or a preconceived notion.
Yeah.
Or like your own agenda behind it, even though you're just trying to check on a homie or just shoot the shit. Everybody always will think usually of their insecurity is 99% of the time. It's like, oh, does he think that I'm overweight or something, like it's unfortunately a lot of times people will assume the worst. But
do you have anything else you want to add to yours?
Nope.
I have one last one. It just sparked because of what you said.
Okay.
I know you know this. I have always loved deeply. If I care about you, I am going to do what I can to help.
Yeah.
Even at the detriment of myself. But if there's one thing I could tell my younger self, because I didn't figure that out until, admittedly, and I'm going to divulge a little bit of information here. I was in a very toxic relationship for 3.5 years. I'll say this now. Things are better. A lot of closure happened in my mid-20s. I don't know if you watch the show, but I hope you're doing all right. The one thing I wish I had done before that is recognize that it's okay to love people, but it's also okay to let them go.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's as obvious as it sounds. To this day, a lot of people have a problem with doing that or have a hard time doing that. And I can tell you now, when I was much younger, like I associated with a lot of people. I never, and the whole identity finding thing, I never really found myself until I was in my mid-20s. But from my teens into that point, I still love deeply, but I would always take it so personally if they walked out of my life.
Yeah.
It wasn't until after that relationship and the closure I had. I remember, good Lord, I remember the fucking situation. The closure I had, I'm not even going to go into detail, but I'm going to simply say it was at a B-dubs in the middle of the afternoon. And what was supposed to be a 30-minute conversation turned into 4 hours and a lot of alcohol later. And somehow I wasn't drunk, but I was still sober enough to recollect the entire conversation. And by the end of it, I genuinely remember I had this like peace in my heart and in my stomach of like, life's going to be okay. Yeah. You can let shit go. If I could bottle that and give it to younger me, I would. You don't have to take people walking out of your life personally. Mm. Not everyone's going to be there for your entire life. You're going to find some of your closest fucking friends. My kids, none of their actual uncles and aunts are in the picture.
Yeah.
All of my closest friends, they know as their uncles.
Yep.
One day they're going to be old enough, they're going to be like, wait a second, y'all aren't related? And then I'm going to drop the fattest book of lore on them ever. And I appreciate the fact that I can have those connections with people. But it is so important to remember that the ones that you still loved throughout your life, and love is a loose term. Love can be deep love. Love can be just a friendship love. Love can be, hey, I'm an ear to listen in a hard time for you. Those individuals you may never speak to again, and that is okay.
Yeah, I learned that early when we first moved from California to Virginia. Yeah, I was 11, and I had a bunch of friends in California, and we were all like, "Yeah, we're gonna talk on the phone all the time," because like internet was still
Yep.
dial up at the time. We'll figure out a way to hang out. I've seen 2 of them since I moved from California, and there was probably 10, you know. But we still and then Facebook came around, and we all kind of reconnected for a little bit there, but I don't love them any less. I don't think they love me any less, or anything else like that. It's just, sometimes people fall in and out of your life, and the ones that will really stick around, like this motherfucker, unfortunately, you'll find your people that will stick around, regardless, whether it is, whenever you move, you figure out a dumb show to do together. No, I'm just kidding. Or
It's true.
Or, you just play video games or FaceTime all the time. Like, for example, my wife, they have they just call it a friend call, and it's like 4 or 5 of them. They just all get on FaceTime, talk, catch up, have some drinks.
Yep.
And they try to do that, as frequently as they can. So yeah, fortunately these days we really have the infrastructure to be able to do that.
Yep.
And so you'll find your people that will kind of do that with you. So.
Man, I remember I'm not going to go into detail because I don't want to put this person on blast. I could give 2 shits less. This is one of those individuals in my life where I'm like, yeah, I don't fucking need you. It happened in Texas. You remember exactly the situation that happened. I remember that day when all that happened and I got that phone call. I was fucking angry.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, why would someone who I considered such a close friend treat me like this? Right. And I remember when I got that call, I talked to Anderson. Anderson's one of those boys who he's gonna be with us until until old and gray.
He's in the group. Just saying some really unhinged shit then when we can really get away with it.
I remember I was talking to him on the phone, and I felt bad for a moment, and he reminded me that it's okay. But I remember I said to him, I was like, dude, I don't fucking care about him anymore. I don't fucking care what happens. Fuck him. Whatever. Blah, 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 blah. And he went, are you sure? Because you sound like you care. And I went, and he goes, remember, it's all right. Just let it go. He's like, that's one of the things I love is I can just let it go. And I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. Sometimes you need that reminder. You do. But if I could instill that into young me, oh my God, I would have saved myself so many headaches.
Yeah.
Like, I just think it's important to recognize, to your point too, like you said, we live in a day and age where we have the infrastructure to be able to keep up with a lot of old friends like that. Hell, like two of my buddies, Pap and Brooks, well, I'll get a snap from them every once in a while. Yo, Apex? Haven't played Apex in fucking months. And I'm like, oh shit, we get the trio back together. Let's fucking ride.
Yeah.
I don't play Apex anymore, but fuck yeah, I'll play Apex. Just with the boys. That means we get to shit around on fucking, a fucking Discord call or Xbox party chat and talk for a couple hours while we're, goofing off on Apex. Hell yeah. We have the infrastructure for that. But when we were growing up, we didn't have that. And just recognizing that like life is going to continue past it. You just have to be okay with understanding that those people, they're not canon events in your life. They're not going to be this everlasting, situation happening in your life. You have to be okay with letting it go. You can still love deeply. That's never going to change for me. Sorry. But I can also recognize, like, if I talk to somebody, if one of you in our viewership decided to reach out to me in the DMs and was like, hey, you know what? I just need an ear to listen. I'm gonna be like, okay.
Yeah.
What you got? You may never speak to me again, but I'm not going to take it personally.
Yeah.
I'm going to go, hey, you know what? I had love in my heart to be able to help this individual through something. I hope they have a great life. It's that easy. Yep. So
if only everybody was like that, but unfortunately
the world would be a much better place.
God. Yeah. And if we had the ability to go back and tell our younger selves, then there would be no strife, but unfortunately strife can build character.
Yep. Oh yeah. And invest in Bitcoin.
Yeah. Oh God. If I could, I would yeah, we'd be fucking set.
Yeah.
Yep.
And with this, before we leave, I'm going to leave everybody with a little nugget
Ooh.
of thought.
Poo nugget?
Yeah, a little poo nugget.
Ooh. Chicken nugget?
If you could bottle post-nut clarity, we'd have every world problem solved by morning.
Yep. Not wrong.
Anyways, now this is a good episode. This is definitely some. It's very thought provoking. Like we said earlier, let us know in the comments something that you would go and tell your younger self. It could be something that we said, and you're just kind of like elaborating on a little more for your personal situation, or something completely off the wall and different. Let us know. We love reading those comments. Drop them down below. If you're watching on Spotify, sorry you can't really do that there, but you can go to YouTube and do it.
There are comments on Spotify now.
I lied. You can do it on Spotify.
Yeah, they're not as obvious, but you can. And
that's fair.
There's been, I think, 2 or 3 or 4 comments on there. Nothing super crazy. Remind me next time. I'll shout those people out. So
solid. Appreciate all y'all who watch on there as well. But as always, subscribe to the channel, like the video. If you have nothing else to say in the comments, drop your favorite emote, and we will see y'all on Thursday.
bye.
Bye.